Hello there.
I wouldn't say I'm old, just generational
Don't
differences.
forget to include the audio.
I did already.
Alright, cool,
Include
cool.
yours on mine, please. Thank you.
I did.
So, full disclaimer here before we get involved with anything. This is just based on our personal experiences and what
Yeah, just us.
just us.
Anything we
Neither
feel
one
like
of us are
going with.
professionals, psychiatrists, therapists, etc. or otherwise. Big disclaimer. All right, gang.
So, just bear with us.
This is our first one. It's just going to be me and him. Eventually, we'll probably start including others in this chat. But if you feel like
Yeah,
participating, we are taking questions and comments and things of that nature in our chat menus, and we're more than happy to include them in our little endeavor here.
for sure.
All right, so we're going to do the fundamentals and basically talk about what the difference is between him, who's obviously of the younger generation than our the youngest generation, which is what? What's your generation called?
I really don't know because I don't follow that stuff.
Well,
I don't.
look it up. We have Google.
That is true. But I think so I was born in 2002.
You're
I
not
don't
a
know if
millennial. I
that
don't think
means.
you're a millennial, but let's
No, I'm
see.
not a millennial. That ended at 2000, I believe.
I think you're the generation Y.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Someone on the comments will tell me.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I'm a part of like the I guess I'm old now. People say I'm an old generation now. I really don't know why.
You're born 2002.
Yeah, 2002.
Your generation Z.
Cool. I'm a zero because I'm a hero. Hmm.
Okay, so I'm generation X. No secret about it. That's where I'm at. So,
All right.
hi to viewers. If you want to say hi to me, great. I appreciate it. Any chat is always welcome. So we're going to do how we
Yeah.
meet people. Okay, so when it was my generation, we usually met through friends, school, work, general going out, which is like, including like bars, clubs. We did a lot of dancing. Your generation
Yeah.
doesn't do a lot of dancing nowadays. I notice there's not a lot of clubs going on. COVID doesn't help the
Well, not.
situation, but
Yeah. Well,
um,
for
go
see,
ahead.
that's why I pick and choose. Kind of, I'm like I'm born in 2002, but like I was doing. So I've met people the way you met them too. But the main thing now for meeting people for me is cause I'm still outside. We've talked. I use a cell phone, but I'm not like big on it. Like if I'm gonna go do something, I'm not gonna like, oh, photo, photo. Look, I'm over here. I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I'm living in the moment.
But the
But
biggest
as
thing
well,
now is technology. And
yes,
technology has made it
indeed.
so we can preview people and whatever kind of, I'm going to call this what I see it, what other kind of crap they want to talk about themselves, meaning like how in depth you can get on everything with people. Some people go micromanage everything and list out everything. And I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking like tons of websites like Plenty of Fish, Match.com, Farmers Only. That one was you, Mike. Um,
I've
Christian
heard about that. I
Mingle,
haven't heard about it recently though. Tinder, all that.
Plenty of Fish, Tender, Bumble. There's another one that started with an H. I can't remember what it was. Oh, and then there's all the other ones that are a little more seedy, a little more one night standy, but are pretty filthy, like Flirt and all that kind of junk.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
well,
once again, hey to viewers, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. If you guys have any questions, put it in the chat box and we'll answer them.
okay, so
Continue.
that's how we met people. Was that, and and you're saying you're doing the same thing, except now technology has advanced it into a whole new level. Uh,
Yeah.
because I
So
can
I
think of
still meet people online and all that. But my main thing for me is I'll go out, friends of friends, parties, dancing, all that, bars, do all that.
yeah. Well, that's pretty much for what everybody else is. But now there's more like an activity thing going on where you kind of meet people through activities that you do. There's the what is it called? Oh my god, meetups. People meet a lot of
Oh yeah.
people at meetups, and that's kind of cool too because it's people doing the same. They have the same kind of common interests and things like that, and that's really cool. But you know, to each their own. All right, so we were going to talk about
Yeah.
the next thing is like how you actually select someone that you're going to end up dating. Okay, so
Okay.
we're going into the common interest core of it. You know, usually people go out with people that like the same things, but there's also the whole thing that opposites attract. So basically, it's what's the word I'm looking for? For my generation, open mind. We kind of like them to do have kind of like the same kind of interest a little bit, like the whole party, go out, school. Oh yeah, forgot to admit, met a lot of people in college. Still good friends with most of my friends in college. Good stuff. Um,
Yeah, I've been going. My best friends are people. I mean, I've been going to school with people since elementary, and I have like a decent handful of people I still talk to from elementary to high school.
yeah. And what common age gaps? Let's see. The common thing is also age gaps. Dating back then, there wasn't much of an age gap. There was usually maybe like a 5 year difference, maybe
Yeah.
at most a 5 year difference. Usually, you dated within your age group, and I noticed that
Well, I
too.
mean, sometimes I think back then as well it was 10, because like I told you, my dad,
Well,
my grandma,
yeah,
them, it was 10 years.
my mom and dad was 8. My mom and her wife, it was 7. But I mean,
Hmm.
but it's interesting to see that age gap didn't really matter. So it doesn't matter so much now as it did back then.
Yeah, it was totally different back
Yeah.
then for age gap. My dad would talk to me about it. He's like, yeah, it was if you were with someone like 10, 20, etc, it was a big thing. And now it's not a big thing at all.
No. And then the next thing is what we're going to talk about was okay. So here we go. Age gap, everything else like that. I guess in truth nature of everything, age is just a number. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It really is
Yeah,
just a
I
number.
believe in that. I lean toward more of that.
But when you're
But
young,
there is
when
its
you're younger,
boundaries.
let's think about this. When you're younger, and someone finds out that your partner, significant other, however you want to call it, boyfriend, girlfriend, is
Yeah.
older than you or younger than you, there's like a
Yeah, they automatically
stigma.
assume now they're like, ooh,
There's a
you getting money?
stigma.
It's like, no.
Exactly. There's a stigma attached to it, which is kind of like, whoa. And that's the other thing too, is that, people look at it differently now too. The May December romances are usually inclined to younger people going out with older people because older people have money. And that's a whole nother game of wow. So many
Yeah.
people are like, oh, I'm going to catch the bill? What do you mean I'm going to catch the bill? You asked me out. If I asked you out, why do I have to catch the bill? That's kind of sleazy in my book. And if I have to catch the
Yeah, I
bill,
agree with that.
I'm done. Deuces, see you later. Okay, so here's another thing. Upon meeting said individuals, back then, appearance, it wasn't everything. I mean, we actually kind of like, yeah, of course, general health was a big deal. Cleanliness is a pretty big deal. How you dressed wasn't really such a big deal. It depended on what you ran with. I mean, like, I'm going to say it like this, and I'm going to sound so old. Preppies dated preppies, punks dated punks, goths dated goths, artsy people dated artsy people. I mean, there was, usually everybody dated within their own quote unquote, whatever they elected themselves to be
Groups.
in
Yeah.
those groups, okay? And now we run into this whole thing about where everybody puts on a lot of makeup
So
and
yeah, like I was talking to you about the makeup thing,
mhm,
because I remember I was telling you about the girl I met, my one of my members, and I didn't know who she was. I seen her like a week later, and it was like, who is this girl? They're like, oh, it's my girlfriend. I'm like, ah, you're messing with me. Who is it? He's like, it's my girlfriend. I'm like, damn, I like change. Like makeup really helps, I guess. I, mean, I don't know.
it always okay. So
I
makeup
didn't
is
mean to sound like mean. I'm just like, I was confused. I'm like, because it was a whole different person. Like
yeah,
a
yeah,
whole
but
different
that's the
person.
thing though. There's a lot of camouflage, and I mean, I get it, and I'm not going to dog anybody on this. Okay, everybody has a right to feel good about themselves. Okay, perfectly.
Oh yeah,
But
totally agree
when
with it.
you misrepresent yourself to a whole new level, that's when I can actually see, you know, I can actually see it being kind of a people having a whole like what's going on. So, you know, where I'm going with this. It's like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I know where you're going. It's like misleading. You're like, hey, like who? What? What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? This isn't you. Like, oh, it's just me with makeup on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's
Even like oh
enhancing one's beauty using cosmetics and giving them confidence is one thing, but
yeah
consistently always that's what you wear. That's it's all the time, and then like when you take it all off, you
yeah
like basically are misrepresenting or what's the word I'm looking for? It's not misrepresenting. It's more of like
like a lie.
I would kind of say a lie, but it really is like it is misrepresenting. I'm going to say boldly a lie. I mean, some people have issues like birthmarks and
yeah.
things of that nature that make them feel less than. And that, like I said,
Well, you.
I didn't mean like I told somebody else. One of my girlfriends actually said to me, "You wait to take your makeup off after the third or fourth date. You don't just do it immediately after the third or fourth date." And that I thought was funny because I'm like, well, no.
Well, I was gonna say for me, 'cause I remember I was watching this one girl, right? She had makeup on and stuff, but she had tape, like clear tape.
Mm-hmm.
So she made her cheeks go up.
Oh yeah.
She had something, and she took it all off, and I was like, I was like, dude, this makes me not like you. I'm like, yeah, you look good, but like,
Why set
they've
yourself
been
up
doing
with
it
a
for like a
fraudulent
long.
appearance when potentially when potentially your significant other or future significant other may say, "Hey, wait a minute, that's fake. You've been lying about it. You're a fraud.
Yeah,
You're misrepresenting yourself.
like a catfish.
You're catfishing them. Why would you? I
Yeah,
mean, yeah." It's the same thing with larger ladies. I have nothing against you girls. Big girls rule, just for the saying.
I love you, big girl.
But at the same thing and time too, taking all these pictures from angles to make yourself look leaner or anything else like that, that's kind of not cool either. And people that won't talk, if you have such a fear of someone looking at you or judging you based upon your appearance, then maybe you shouldn't be with that person, or maybe you should discuss
yeah,
it with them, because you might, there's a lot of acceptance in things like this. I mean, appearances and everything.
yeah. When dating someone, you can overcome a lot of things. You're like, oh, I tell you, be like, all right, I like you, so I'll deal with it.
And that includes, by the way, and I'll just say this out loud too. This includes people that are blind, deaf, have physical issues. Like I have a poor back. It's not a secret. I don't hide it. I have a disease in my spine that will put me in a wheelchair. Full disclosure. I always tell people that. I'm not ashamed of it. It's okay.
Yeah, I remember one time I was dating someone for a while, and I told them, hey, I have ADHD, and they're like, what? And I'm like, it's it's like the least worst thing, because I know how to control it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't take pills or any of that. But for some people, it's like out of control. But I'm like, it's not a big thing. Like, just saying, just don't give me coffee or any. That's why I always tell them, like, I don't drink coffee, and if I do drink it, then I really need the energy, and that's when I do it. Because I get like super hyper and hyped up and everything.
Yeah, I get you on that.
Yeah.
So I
But
get that. By the way, I can't
whole
get into your
thing.
GTA map no matter what I do. I keep getting kicked back to loading screen, loading screen, loading screen.
I don't know. We'll just keep talking, keep driving or whatever.
Okay.
Walking character.
But then we can.
But yeah, I mean,
And by the way, the same thing goes for boys. Males. For males.
Yeah.
In this thing
Totally.
too, is that most men are they're scared of their physical appearance. Some guys are overconfident and don't care, which I love that shit because I love me a good
That's
confident
me
dude.
right there.
Love me a good confident male. However,
Yeah, you see the way I do things. I mean, I do me. I don't care what anyone thinks. Oh, you don't like it? Well, then don't look at me.
true story. So, and also the other thing too is, and I'm not I love the LBTQ plus.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, plus. Gotta add the plus on there.
There you go.
Love all
Oh
those
yeah,
people.
plus.
However, when you meet someone that is heterosexual, and that means likes the opposite sex, and you misrepresent yourself as that sex without disclosing it to somebody, that's a big issue. Because I can see that.
I do believe in that.
I do
Yeah.
think that's kind of like, once again, lying, deception, not good. How is that going to be? How is that going to even start a relationship or dating somebody right off the bat? So yeah, I get it. That's another thing too. It's like one of those things that doesn't you know you know honesty. We're going to that honesty thing. Be honest with this person. You have nothing to lose. But everybody seems to.
Oh
A lot
yeah.
of people, not everybody, because they're making a generalization, but a lot of people internalize that for fear, and they have these fears. Fear does people to do strange stuff, and I've seen it. And
Yeah, I
I've been,
agree
and
with
I
that.
ain't gonna lie, I've been part of that fear thing too for a while, and then got tired of it. I was like, you know what? I'm not living my best life. I'm not. Done with it. Like me or not, I don't care.
Yeah, that's the way I grew up. But I remember I was telling you once. I remember I was talking to this one girl, and I didn't know because they seemed like such a girl. Their voice was a girl. I don't know. I wasn't looking at the time. The main thing that my dad always taught me, he's like, look at the Adam's apple. They have one. It's a guy. I was like, okay. And and we were on like I think our third, whatever thing. It was a date or I don't know, it was a meeting thing.
Meet up.
And they told me like, hey, to let you know that I'm a guy, and I'm like, what? And they're like, I'm a guy, but I appear as a woman. I'm like, we're done. And they're like, you hate gays? I don't hate gays. I don't. I have a lot of friends and family, but I like women that are born as women. That's just me.
The key word is natural woman. That's going to
Yeah.
come into play eventually. I'm waiting for it to be for the labels. I need label. Okay, so they're a natural woman. You're surgically a woman. Boom.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Moving right along because we could spend all day talking about that. Okay,
Oh yeah, for sure we could. Next one.
compliments.
Compliments. Yeah.
Okay, so
They've changed.
women back then, including myself, liked a compliment. If someone said, "Oh, I like what you're wearing," or "Hey, you're pretty," or "Hey, you're beautiful," or "I really like the color on you," or you look really nice. Simple compliments
Yeah.
actually go a long way.
Yeah,
So,
I believe that.
I mean, and I'm pretty sure
And for mine,
for your generation, go ahead.
for mine, well, you see, I was raised to always the same compliments that you guys give. I give all the time. But I remember one day, cause my dad taught me right when you were back. He taught me how to. I was raised back then. You hold the door for a woman. You open a door, all that stuff. And then one day, right, I opened this door for a lady, and I was a kid at the time, but she was like, "I'm a woman. I don't need you." I'm like, I'm just trying to open the door, cause that's how I was raised. Like I see you walking, we're going to the same place, and she was basically just being mean to me, and I was like, hey, like, and I told her politely, I was like, hey, wait right there. I walk in and I close the door and I'm like, alright, bye. And she got mad at me, and in my head I'm like, why are you mad? Like you basically were just mean to me and disrespectful. Because I was trying to. I'm not saying that you're a weaker woman, you're weaker sex or anything. I'm just opening the door because that's how I was raised. Like, and now compliments go like different because you want compliments now. I believe from what I've been hearing and what's going around, they want to be disrespected, kind of. I guess with the
Ooh.
compliment.
You know what? I think it's more of a, I'm going to say it like this. It's not like they want to be disrespected. It's more along the lines of that, the liberation. I can do this myself. I don't need any person
Yeah.
to do it for me. I can do this myself. And that I can see. My mother's generation, it was all about, equality, equal work for equal pay. I mean, we have to be, strong, and nobody can tell us anything, or, just all of that. And that's kind of the what is it? The downside of all this. Oh, you know, people forgot chivalry. You know what I mean when I say that to you? Opening the
No,
doors. We see. Here we go.
oh yeah,
In the
yeah,
South,
that stuff.
it's called manners. You open the door for a lady. You close the door for a lady. You walk on the side of the road next closest to the road and let the woman walk on the other side. It's a protective.
Yeah, it's
It's a
protective. So if a car's coming, they'll hit
exactly,
you instead of the woman.
exactly,
So you can push her out the way. Yeah,
exactly.
I do all of that. That's how I was raised.
Yeah, and that's why I said chivalry's dead. It's like one of those things where chivalry is dead. So
Yeah, it's sad too. I mean, it's gone.
yeah, but you know what? It's not dead. That's why I love. I'm gonna say it. That's why I love living in the South.
Oh no, yeah, it's. I mean, it's not dead, but I mean, it's very rare now. Like I'm one of those people who are in it, who do that stuff, but it's rare now to see that. A lot of people are like, well, why would I have to do that? I'm like, it's just to be nice. Like it's just comforting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be comforting. We'll say it like that.
Yeah.
But okay, so moving on along to compliments. By the way, what
Yeah.
I was gonna say was the verbiage or the verbiage of how it's being said is a whole nother thing altogether.
Yeah, it's way different
Backhanded
now compared to,
compliments
like,
from your generation are like, I didn't mean it like that, girl. I mean, I thought you were, it's like, what? Yeah, okay, no. We're good. I'm good with that. Don't need it. Now, once you have said, made contact with an individual, and say you wanted to meet up with them.
continue.
Meet up.
Yeah,
Meet up with
continue,
them.
meet up.
Yeah. So the thing is that then you want to, what's the word I'm looking for? You want to go out with them, meet up again, have coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, have coffee, grab some food.
You would. We only had telephones. That's about it.
Yeah.
Telephones back then in my
That was
day.
the rotary phones. Those are the coolest things
No,
ever, I think.
rotary phones was like in the 70s, the 80s. It was all about the push button phones, and then after about probably like late 80s to 90s, about late 90s, pagers were the bomb. Pagers were where everybody was at. You know.
Nice. Yeah. I think my dad was always talking about one.
And always getting to whatchamacallit, getting to a phone was ridiculous. It used to be 10 cents a call, then it went up to 25 cents a call. I was like, dude, you're costing me a quarter. That's a quarter of a dollar. You know? It's like, what?
Call a girl. You better answer the phone right now.
Right? Not well. If they didn't answer the phone, you got your quarterback back then. Didn't cost us that. You know, if they answered the phone, there was a whole thing about that. That was pretty funny though. So if you think about it, that was the MO for us was telephones and pagers. Internet didn't come around. I mean, for the super nerdcore, there was BBS and we could message each other back and forth, and that was the earliest form of email. Was that we'd email back, we'd message each other back off of BBS, the bulletin board systems, by the way. But that's about, that's our good times. And then you guys know now, you guys got texting, social media.
Yeah,
you can
email,
email.
media.
You got FaceTime. You got, just like name it. If you want to talk to somebody, you can talk to somebody.
You know what's weird? I enjoy writing. Like, I remember once I was dating this other chick, right? I think I wrote her like 10 or 12 letters.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, you could have texted her. I'm like, but just because I wrote them down and took the time, they were more special than just a text message. And I would write pages on pages, back and forth.
Just imagine being in like the 17 and 1800s, where all and early 1900s too. The only method actually talking to anybody was through letters.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
The lost art of writing a letter, or writing a custom note, or even signing a card with a personalized message is difficult. Oops, sorry, people.
Yeah.
Oops, forgot that. My bad.
So,
Okay.
as well though, yeah, it's died a lot. Even I know a little bit of cursive. I could read all of it and stuff.
Hmm.
But I remember I took the option. I didn't have to learn it in second grade. But I learned how to read
Yeah,
it
you
and
guys
stuff
can't even write
and write it.
cursive.
Oh, I could write some cursive.
Most everybody
But I
can't.
mean,
Yeah, most everybody can't write cursive. It's like, what? What is that about? Like, holy cow! And then they don't even teach you guys how to, like, you guys can barely write the alphabet. I'm like, wow, crazy.
I can write the alphabet.
Well, yeah, I mean, but most kids now, it's all about putting a piece of
Yeah,
electronics in
most
their
kids
hand
now
and
they're
like,
just
here,
like
have at it.
it's all about the email and typing. So I could sit there and write essays. Like I could type an essay on a computer in like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and but writing one down takes me about like an hour, I would say,
Yeah.
maybe less. But it depends what I'm writing about. But a lot of people, I would find it weird. I'd be in high school, right? So I remember one time for a project, we had to write an essay, and I finished my rough draft in like 30 minutes. And they were like, why is he sitting there doing nothing? He's like, I'm grading his essay. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm on my cell phone. What's good? My homework's done right now. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I actually got to sit down and learn this stuff. My dad would teach me, my cousins and stuff. I actually learned about it because I liked it. I like learning about stuff. And I noticed a lot of kids don't like it.
I think a lot of it
They
has
don't
to
like
do with the
that
fact that
learn.
they feel like it's forced upon them. That's why. That's kind of the
Yeah,
thing
I
about
mean,
it.
when I view homework, when I would get homework, I would have my homework done in a matter of like minutes, like 10, 20 minutes, depending on what it was. And people would take like, oh, it's gonna take me like 3 hours. I'm like, why would it take you? They're like, well, you need to text this person, you need to go do this. And I'm like, you want you want wants versus your needs. And I'm like, do your needs first and do your wants later. They're like, why? I'm like, it'll help you in the long run. It will.
Needs over wants. That's a fact. Um,
Yeah.
so let's talk about actual. Okay, so you met the person. They ask you. For women, they ask you out, or you ask them out, whichever way it goes,
Yeah.
and you
Today
actually
it's
set
way
up the
different.
date. Okay,
Yeah.
so the question of it is date. Do we go with dinner in-house? Do you go with dinner out? Go out to dinner? Do we meet up at a bar and hang out, or a club? Do we go
For
do?
for my generation.
Wait, do we do an activity together? I mean, dating. My personal
Well, I would
preference.
say.
My personal
Yeah, you go
preference has
first.
always been. I love to eat. There's no shame in that. So I like to think of dinner. And if they don't want to go have dinner, coffee is always a great option. You know, you really don't know, so I think coffee is probably going to be your best option. And then, you know, fill it out from there. Then if you feel like getting something to eat, get something to eat.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you like it, everything's going really good, you can call it quits there. Just keep talking to each other and finding out all their likes and dislikes and all that jazz. Or you can say, hey, let's go get a drink. And then it progresses and snowballs. Blah blah blah. So there are some instances though where people don't want to go out. They want to stay, and this is weird. They want to stay and be your texting or chat boyfriend or internet boyfriend, and that's a very common
Oh yeah.
thing.
I've ran into that a lot, and
That's
I'm like, I can't do this. And they're like, why? I'm like, I want
human contact.
physically. I
Human
don't
contact.
want.
You want
I want emotion. I want human contact.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely
Yeah.
nothing wrong with wanting human contact. That's just how, you know, believe it or not, that's real life. That's how things work. Period.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And so
what's
for
your
me,
preference?
for my preference for like going on a date,
Yeah.
you know me, I can make food. I can make almost anything that you tell me to make. I can make it for you. And I like to cook. I do. So I don't mind sitting there and making dinner. But I think the main thing I hate about setting up dates with people is time. Like being late, like text me and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be late. This happened." Not like it's been like 30 minutes and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm on my way." And I'm like, "Dude, the food's getting cold." Like,
Oh, common courtesy of letting somebody know that you're going to be late or not
yeah.
going to show up. So
Yeah.
letting somebody know is a big
It's
pet
a
peeve of
big
mine.
thing that's
Oh my
so lost
god,
now.
that is
It's a
my
no,
biggest
because
pet
remember,
peeve.
hold on, wait. You remember I told you I was really depressed about my the woman that I was seeing at the time?
Yeah,
Because I made steaks, I made chicken, steamed Mexican and white rice, I made baked potatoes and all that. It took me like 3 hours to make, and I made a fresh fruit salad and all that.
yeah.
And she dipped on me. She texted me an hour later saying, I'm like, hey, I had to text her, I'm like, hey, where are you at? Like, I made all this dinner and I'm waiting for you. And I even had I had a bottle of tequila because she liked to drink, so I have a bottle of tequila too. And I was really mad because I'm like, I made all this food with love and you spat in my face. You did. You just spat in my face.
Yeah.
And she told me, she was like, oh, I didn't mean to. I'm like, no, you meant it. And she was like, well, I just didn't want to go because I have kids. And I'm like, I know you have kids. You could have bring them. I made their favorite food. And I think it was something else though, but I was just like, it's common courtesy. It's like he said the date's at 8:30. It's 9 o'clock. Like, where are you at? Like,
But they didn't. They did. What did they say?
they just, oh, I can't make it. I'm like, okay, well, thanks. We've been planning this for like a week, and it hurt. It did, because we planned it for like a week. So I was like,
You
and
got
it was
excited,
me
and
being a
then
guy.
you
I'm
were
just
let
like,
down by the whole system because it was like, okay, this would be something cool, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, denied.
yeah. I think it's because she's seen my post. I posted the food I made. I'm like, oh, got all this food made, had it all set up, presentation, everything good. And she was just like, like, I don't know, maybe he's too,
She thought too much of
I
it.
don't know.
Maybe you should have waited. Maybe it
Yeah,
was too much, you know. But still, then still talk communication. Lack of communication between
yeah.
individuals now versus then is a lot different. Think about
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure.
Communication is key in any relationship. You can't talk to each other. What the hell are y'all doing together? I
Yeah,
noticed
like I
that.
tell everyone, like
Oh,
I
oh,
told
I
you.
noticed that about your generation. You guys will say, "This is my boyfriend," blah blah blah, and guess what? You guys will be sitting there in a freaking. You'll sit in there freaking not doing anything, but just literally just sitting there with like nothing, just sitting there on your phones, not even talking to each other.
See, I don't do that. That's what I find very weird with me within this generation. I'm like, if I'm with my girlfriend, I hold her hand. I kiss her all the time. I don't care. I'm just like, tell me about your day, everything. And you see me with my cell phone on Xbox. I'm like, oh, cell phone's going off. I'll throw it across the room. I don't want to hear about it. And people are like, well, what if it's an emergency? I'm like, well, if it was, they would call my home phone because that's my main emergency line is my home phone.
Yeah, if it's an emergency, they'll show up.
Yeah.
If it's a real emergency, there'll be a phone call, not a text message.
Yeah, there'll be a phone call on my house phone because I have a home phone and I have a cell phone. Everybody who has my home phone number is people that really matter and I really care about and stuff, and all the emergencies are on there. So I know if it's just ding to ding, I'm like, it's just a fucking, oh my bad, I'm so sorry. It's just a text message or something.
Right?
And I'm like, I just don't want to hear about it. I don't.
Nope.
If you want to come talk to me, come see me at my house. You know where I'm at.
Face to face versus.
Yeah, over text.
Yeah. All right.
And
So we can continue on and on about this. We got the whole date thing
yeah.
with that. Okay. So you landed the fish. Haha. You got your partner. Here's a question for you. When, for your generation, is it considered a relationship versus just dating?
My opinion on it, like
Yeah.
my experience,
Yeah.
um, when we're dating, like this is how I do things. If I if I ask you out, then we're dating. We're a couple.
Okay.
And for most people, it's not like that. It's like they're like, what do you mean, like? So, how can I put this? When basically when I ask you out, there's no like side piece. There's no nothing. It's just us. That's all it is.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no like, oh, he's like this is my friend. Like, oh, there's none of that. And with other people, my friends that I've had and stuff, they're like, oh, that's my side piece. She's my girlfriend after like 2 months or this or that. I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, you asked her out? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so is she your girlfriend? He's like, well, no, she's just a girl that likes me and this. And I'm like, what? But when I asked someone out, it's like, we're official. Like, you need me, call me, I'll be there.
Okay. For my generation, okay, so usually 1, 2, 3 dates, okay, not a big deal. Fourth date, if you really are you're vibing off a person, you're really enjoying the time, usually, let's be honest about this, relationship status changes from dating to more than dating once sex occurs. Do you concur or disagree?
Once the sex happens?
Yes.
So repeat that one more time.
Relationships change usually from dating to boyfriend, girlfriend, or more than that after sex. That's what I found in my generation.
For mine, because the way I am, I agree the same way. They do change after sex. Because after I've done it with someone, I'm like, hey, what are our goals? Like, what do we want to do in life? Like, I sit down and I think about it. I'm like, we're having, because it's a real moment. It's like we just did something amazing, but now how are we gonna further this? Are we just gonna stay like this, or are we gonna further this and push it farther?
How much more deeper do you want to go into a relationship with somebody? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all individual. It's all preference and stuff like that. I mean, to be honest, you can't really date somebody. You know, I mean, yeah, some people are cautious. I'm a cautious person. I may like an individual, crush on them. Oh, I like you, but even then, I always, I take everything for what it is, and maybe too laid back in that aspect that I'm not worried about. I'm not really worried about any of that stuff. It'll come. If it doesn't, great. No big deal. No one's, I always have time for it. But as I'm getting older, there's a little bit of, what's the word I'm saying, urgency in me to say that, oh, I should be seeing somebody, or I should be doing this, or I'm doing that. But, it's like, ultimately I shouldn't push for something, That's what I realized, like, it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. That's how I view it. And I'm okay with that,
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, you know me. I mean, I chase it. I don't know why. I chase it for emotional purposes.
But that's a whole nother story as to why you chase it for emotional.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother one altogether. We could all go into that whole thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things I have noticed is that it pretty much was universal, though. Even in my generation, it was universal. Like, somebody's looking for that figure, something that made them feel complete, that they didn't get when they were kids. So
yeah,
I mean, I can see it.
But that's a whole nother podcast, folks. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So when does it become? When do you realize, like, okay, I have friends that love and care for me. That's a shout out to Sean, and
same here.
That's a shout out to my boy Sean. That's a shout out to my boy Mark. That's a shout. I mean, my buddy Neil. I mean, I have males, because I'm heterosexual, that love and adore me, will do anything I ask. Now, mind you, I don't ask them for anything. Why? Because that's what you do. You don't take it. You don't take advantage.
You don't take advantage any of that.
You don't take advantage of somebody. It's just not right.
Yeah.
And then what else? What else is going to ask you about the?
You were gonna ask me about
What's up,
companionship too.
No. We're gonna go into this whole thing about, like, deep caring. For instance, like, okay, for instance, with me, okay, I don't ask anybody for help. I have issues with that. There's no secret about that. I will sit there and suffer in misery forever.
Same.
Before I ask anybody for anything. However, recently, I have realized that it's okay. So I've been asking the name that will not be named because I'm pretty sure one of my homegirls is going to listen to this and be mad at me. But the guy, I don't know, the guy I'm kind of seeing, not seeing, don't know, suddenly became a military wife kind of thing, is if anything wrong happened, anything wrong, my mom died, I got mauled by a dog, um, there was something else happened. This guy dropped, dropped everything and came running to me. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropped everything, came running for me. That's, I appreciate it. Not gonna lie. I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But, at the same point in time, too, it's like, when do you, like, I was sick. If when I'm sick, he'll come over and play doctor. He'll make food. He brings me tacos.
Tacos and Mexicans coming out of me.
Tacos.
Tacos.
Brings me tacos. And, he's just generally like, he's kind
Yeah,
of
he's
like,
caring.
he's kind
He's
like
there.
that.
He's
Yeah.
kind.
Walk my dogs when I'm sick. I mean, all of that. He'll do all of that. I just don't ever like asking him for stuff like that because it makes me feel like I'm asking for too much. You know what I'm saying? That I'm asking
Yeah, I
him for too much
understand
help.
because we've talked about some of the stuff off the podcast about that. Like I've told you a little bit about me. Like when I date someone, I tell them automatically, like, hey, I got some deep, dark pain that we can just never talk about unless I'm like super on stuff in the moment. Then I'll talk about it. But other than that, you're gonna see me cry. You're gonna see me suffer, and I'll just look at them like I can't talk about it. I just gotta deal with it.
Unless you
And I
got
know
your
that's a
serious,
main
you
back.
got your hat on with the
Yeah.
light and a pickaxe. That's the only way you're ever gonna know.
Yeah, and some girls do get mad at me about that. And they're like, "Why though?" I'm like, "It's just I was raised, and I've only cried in front of I've only cried in front of 2 women before that I've dated."
Well,
And
and that's the whole thing. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, you have to be. See, here's the thing. You're not comfortable talking to the person, opening up to that
no,
person
I'm
yet.
comfortable, but
No,
I
no,
was
no.
raised by my dad
You're not
to like,
comfortable.
your woman can never see you cry because that means like you're a chump. You're the lowest of low. You're no longer a man. You're like a wuss.
Okay, yeah. You know what? That whole thing is, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's over
Alphaness.
alpha male machismo, no longer existing kind of stuff. It's kind of fluffy in my book.
Yeah.
Um, so we can go into that. When does that deep caring come into play? I guess is the bigger question that we are alluding to, is when. Like I said, for me,
I think for me,
go ahead. You go first.
I think for me it happens when so my main thing is I like to lay down and watch movies. That's my main thing I like to do. And if I could fall asleep and not have to worry about you, like me waking up and you be gone or my stuff be gone, that's when that deep caring starts for me. I'm like, oh, they're here for me. They're not here to like use me or this and that and take stuff. They're here.
Basically, it's like if you wake up and they're not gone, they're keepers. Is that what I'm gathering from you?
Yeah. From the women I deal with, yeah.
Wow. Maybe you
And I've
should
only ever had three keepers.
3 keepers.
Yeah, 3 keepers.
Wow. So that tells me that you've woken up and stuff has been missing from your home.
Yeah, or my personal stuff at their house. I'm just like, where's my stuff? They're like, I'm leaving. I ain't coming back.
Yeah, well, I wish I had that problem. Somebody just keeps bringing and leaving more and more stuff at my house. I'm like, what the hell, dude? It's like, okay, if you're moving in, start paying some rent, bro.
I think I said that wrong though. It's that I don't know. You just feel it. You know how you feel in your body the emotion.
Yeah.
Like you feel that peace, like total. Like So I remember I was dating this one girl, right? And I remember it's gonna sound cheesy. I was laying in bed and I woke up and I heard our kids, our stepkids playing, my stepkids. I heard them playing, and I heard her like talking, and I was just sitting there super happy, and I'm like, this is the life. Like, this is cool. Like, I was happy. I was happy as heck. And then you know what feeling? I don't know how to explain it, but you're fully at peace. Like, you're like, this is life. This is good.
I guess that's the thing, you know. For me, I just, you know, I'm so accustomed to people being transient that it's, you know, for me, it's like whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. That's obvious. Like, next, whatever. Because I mean, what am I gonna do? Nothing I can do about it, you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, toss, turn, give, blah blah blah, next.
Yeah, well, I just, you know, I just can't, you know, I can't deal with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I just, you know,
Yeah.
I get to the whole thing about realism versus realistic love versus this whole thing where it's like not, like whatever. And I know that sounds
It's like when
horrible.
you're in the honeymoon stage and it's been a year and you're like, hey, what are we doing?
Well, and that's the thing. We can go into the whole honeymoon, the whole like the length of a relationship and things like that. We'll catch that at the you'll catch that at the later part of this because
Yeah.
coming on with the stages of relationship. What is it? It's dating,
I think it's talking.
talking,
Now it's like for talking,
texting, talking and
then
texting,
talking. You know, I think it's texting, then I think it's phone calling, and then I think it's dating.
and then
Because
after that.
anybody can text
Okay,
anybody,
okay.
but
So
nobody
yeah,
can stay on the phone.
so we going. For me, it would be introduction, communication, going out, sharing meals, sharing drinks, sharing good times. Then it would be I like you, you like me. You wanna, you know, sex. Okay, cool. Then after sex, then that's the honeymoon stage. Because then you have the whole, you know, relationship stuff going on where it's like, okay, this is good, you know. This is going
Yeah.
well, you know. Where are we going with this? I mean, how long are we gonna do this? I mean, yeah, all of that. You know, relationships, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And then you go into the whole what is it? What's the next one? You go into after that relationship. We call what is it? The dating part where everybody's happy. What we talked about the honeymoon stage,
The
right?
honeymoon stage, yeah.
Then you go into and at the honeymoon stage, either it perpetuates itself into more, into a deeper type of
Or it
relationship,
dies.
into like an actual mutual partnership, and you move in together,
Yeah.
or like you were saying, it just dies off. It's like, oh, okay, this was an infatuation. Call it a day.
Like, it was good. I wasted my time, though. But it was fun, though. But, yeah. Next.
Like, whatever.
Yeah.
We're both in agreement that the stages haven't changed.
No, I don't think those have, yeah.
Okay. So now we're going
It's
to
just a
talk
different
about.
way of them getting done.
Now we need to talk about something that's going to be pretty touchy for a lot of people. And
I think I
that's
remember which one
and
this
this
was.
is going to be gifts, the giving of gifts.
Yes.
This is where we come into my generation where, and this should be your generation too, where I was taught and raised that gifts should be given just because they should be given. You understand that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
if you
totally.
want to reciprocate the gift, then you just give the gift. But your generation is
Give me that, it's mine! You have to, I don't know. It
what do
has
you
that.
mean that oh so you guys are takers and not a lot of givers. Meaning that you don't
That's basically what most of my generation is takers, basically, I believe.
really.
From what I've been seeing. Like, I've seen some givers, I'm a giver too. But I see a lot of takers. I don't really see a lot of givers.
Well,
But that's just on my point of view from what I've experienced.
true. But I guess the question of it is, wouldn't it be nice if that wasn't the case? Where it was like
It would be
an
amazing.
equal transition of, hey, Merry Christmas, I got you something. Oh, I got you something too. I guess maybe that only happens when somebody loves you the way you love them.
Yeah, I would say so. Or
Wow.
like
You know, we haven't even
so
touched
I
on
don't
love. We haven't even touched on love.
love is a big one for me. Like
But we're gonna save that for a whole nother podcast. Just leave that
yeah,
out
save
for a
that for a whole
while, because
other
that's
podcast.
crazy
'Cause I mean,
people speak.
we could talk about love for life.
Woohoo! Damn, we got to reel that in, aren't we? But
Yeah,
okay,
but
so we got the stage
giving
of
though.
gifts. Giving, I love giving gifts. I
No, yeah, I
do.
remember. So one time, I this girl, she was gonna live with me, right? She was always over, twice, 4 times a week, always over. Sometimes 5 times a week, and she didn't like my bed, so I was like, hey, and she spotted me $500, and I paid her back though. She was like, it's a gift. I'm like, no, no, no. I gave her $500 for her half of the bed, and then we did the box springs. I'm like, here's the other half for those, and she's like, okay. And I'm like, it came time. She was like, hey, what's up? The bed's here. I'm like, all right, cool. Here's the other half. And she was like, why are you paying me back? I'm like, she's like, I wanted this for us, and I'm like, but it's, I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna last. I don't know the future. I don't. So I'm like, I would rather you not be mad that you spent your time and hard-earned money on something like this. Because for me, being 19, you know, I have a home, pay like $2,400 a month for this place, and the bed to me was the most expensive thing I've ever bought before, other than like my three TVs at the time, because the bed was like I think want to say like $1,500 for everything, and to me to me that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. And I in my head I'm like, you can't. She's like, oh, it's a gift. I'm like, no, I have to repay you. Like, I can't. I can accept it, but I'm not gonna leave it on my conscience. Like, I only have this bed because of this one girl. I'm not gonna do that.
I get it. I get it. You know, for me, it's like, you know, when somebody wants to give me something great, you know, and I usually send them a
But when
nice,
it's
I send
something
them a nice thank.
expensive,
When
it's
if,
like,
well, here's the thing, okay? No matter how I want to look at it or how I want to pretend like I don't see it, I see it a lot where the gift giving is uneven. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Where it's like somebody's doing all of this and they're not getting any kind of reciprocation from it. I think gifts should be
Oh
reciprocal,
yeah.
but at the same point in time too, look, if somebody wants to give me a
Thankfulness and
gift,
stuff.
woohoo, I ain't gonna say no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, I could say something. So it was Christmas, right? And
Hmm.
at the time, still with the same girl. I got her. I got her a bunch of stuff off Amazon. I got her some earrings. I spent like I think like $400, and I spent like 100, $200 on the kids. And all she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I don't want anything." I'm like, "I'm." She was like, "Really?" I'm like,
Okay.
No, I really like for me. So for me, Christmas, my birthday, and there's two other holidays. I always forget what they are. They're the worst times of the year for me because of how when I was growing up and what the woman who gave birth did to me. So I was like, these are the worst. I was like, I don't like. I mean, I love it. I love dancing and singing and doing all that. But I'm like, I don't like. I don't like it. But I'm a giver though, so I did all this stuff. But she was like, what do you really want? I'm like, you know what? I could really use a good pair of headphones. But I was like, wait, they don't have to be expensive, but I hate leather. And I asked him like, if you buy me anything, just don't buy me the leather padding. And she gave me the earphones one day, right? After like a week, 2 weeks after Christmas. And I just looked at her like kind of sad, and I was like, I asked like, I felt bad too. And I was like, I can't, I don't want to let these sit in the corner. And she just seen me, like, I took them in the closet, and I put them up in the closet, and I was like, thank you for those. She was like, you don't have them on, you didn't open them. I'm like, well, they're leather, and one thing I asked is, please don't get leather. And I felt terrible,
Oh.
but it's because, to me, I've had leather, and it makes my ears sweat a bunch, and to me, it was just kind of mean, a smack in the face, because I had asked her, I asked her months, and I'm like, what do you want? And she's like, I really like jewelry. I'm like, okay, what type of jewelry do you like? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite material? What's your favorite all that? And I got everything perfect, on point, all that stuff. And I just had one thing I really asked for, and I was like, and you didn't listen, like, you didn't. And I
Well,
looked it up online, and it says it right in the description, like, made of leather, and I'm like, okay.
maybe it wasn't something she really thought about, you know? She might have been in a
It could have been that.
hurry, you know.
Well, no, but the thing that hurt me, because I told him, like, doesn't matter when you get it, just, at least get it by, like, June, and it was, December still, so at least get it by June. Take your time. I'm in no rush, my headset still work, and it just hurt, though, because I'm like, I just asked for one thing, just one thing I wanted, like.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so moving right along. Income. All
Oh
right.
yeah,
We kind of covered a little
big
bit
old
with the gifts
discussion.
thing, okay? But the income. I don't know if anybody gets that yet, but income is a pretty big deal. Because there is
Yeah,
such right now a division between earnings and stuff like that. I mean, the haves and the haves not is what I always tell people. It's like, there's the haves and the have nots. So I mean,
yeah,
it just depends, you know. What are you, my preference is I just like people that can take care of their own, hold their own meat with me. You know? I
yeah.
mean,
I agree.
I'm not asking for anything. Just be able to handle your business. Can you handle your business? That's gonna sound
Yeah,
so sad, but yeah. I mean, that's about it. I don't care about. I don't care how much you make. I, you know, God, this is gonna sound so horrible. I don't care how much money you make, but what I do care about is whether or not you enjoy your job or you're gonna sit around and, you know, bark about it. You know what I mean? You're gonna sit there and
yeah.
bellyache about it. That's what I have issues. Like, are you
Sit
gonna?
there and bring that depression and all
Yeah.
that.
Oh my God. What am I doing? Oh no. 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 I don't want to hear that. I know that sounds horrible, but I don't. I really don't want to hear the the. I don't. Oh, I hate my job. Blah blah blah. I get it. Nobody really likes their job. Nobody really wants to work anymore.
Yeah, no, nobody really likes their job. I mean, there's a couple things, like, especially people who play sports, because that's the thing they love.
Yep.
But for some people playing sports, once it becomes like a job, they quit. And it's like, dude, you're making $2 million playing baseball. They're like, yeah, but it became a job, and I didn't like it. I'm like, all right, well, if it was me, I would be like, hey, I'm gonna keep on playing, even though it's a job. I'm like, hey, I mean,
Making some money.
you're making money. Yeah, you're making good money. You're enjoying something you do in life. You just don't like having to do the daily task of all this other stuff.
The bump
But
and the bump
for
and
me with
the bump and
income,
grind is what most people,
yeah.
bump and grind.
For me with income wise dating people, I've really never asked anyone other than one person. But I was like, cause I take care of my grandma. I pay some bills. She does the rest of it. And they're like, why do you stay? I'm like, this is my home. Like, my name's in the house. And I was like, so if we get married, we have to sign a prenup. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is my family home. This house has been in my grandma built this house with my grandpa. They raised my dad. My dad raised me and my brothers and sisters. And I'm like, so I'm not gonna lose it in a relationship. I'm not, like, and it seems mean when I say it to whoever I'm saying it to at the time. And then I think after a while they understand, like, oh, okay. But income wise, I'm like, how are you income wise? Like, do you have debt? Like, do
Oh,
you have
don't get
do
me
you have
wrong.
spending problems?
Don't get me wrong. That's one of my big things about everything is like, okay, how much debt do you really have? Because that's people lie about
Yeah.
that all the time. I mean,
Yeah, and I've seen people that are like, oh, I got money, and then you find out they're like, dude, you owe 5 grand in the bank, and you owe this and that, and you're like, what the hell? But then it really makes me mad when I see them doing that, right? And they all this money,
hmm
but then they're still doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, dude, stop doing that. Just like, I like you for who you are, but you need to get your life together, like, because when it comes time to it, if I'm gonna marry someone, I'm like, hey, why isn't this bill paid? Well, you see, I had to buy this new purse. Divorce.
no, it's not
Goodbye.
divorce. It's just that priorities. Again,
Well, I don't mean
priorities.
divorce like that. I'm just like, goodbye, get away from me for a minute.
What are your
Like,
priorities when it comes down to it? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I mean, that's the big part about it. It's like how much, what's your
What's your
priority?
value on
Where's your
it?
priorities?
Yeah.
No, people that can't set their fiscal priorities, I've got issues.
I agree.
No, 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 no. Nope, not doing it. Nope, not doing it. Not gonna do it. Next, what do we got?
Next, we have a. Let's
Oh,
see.
working hours, because some people work a lot,
Oh yeah, like me when I was working. Time I'm not working right now.
but working.
So for me, when I was working, right, you didn't really. I mean, I knew you. We didn't really play a lot though. Angel would talk about you and stuff. So I was with the same chick, right? And I would work, same as her, 5, sometimes 7 days a week.
hmm
But I'm the cooker, the meal prepper, the cleaner, laundry, all that. Do the yard work. And whenever she was like, let's go out, I'm like, I don't want to go out. I'm not feeling well. I'm tired. And I remember one time, right?
hmm
We went out to see her parents, her grandparents, and I fell asleep on the couch. I did for like 10 minutes. And she woke me up. She was like, "You're embarrassing. Like, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm tired. Like out of the
What do
you've
need
seen my backyard,
exactly?
right? Have you?
No,
Can't handle the
You've
heat, my
seen my
friend?
front yard though, right? I sent you
Okay,
the video.
leave it with creepy Uncle Lester.
So
no.
all right, I'll show you later. But anyway, I got a big decent amount of property, and I was doing yard work, doing all these weeds and leaves and cutting down trees and trimming and this and that. A lot of work. I was at it for like 3 days straight, 8 hours a day doing yard work that week as well as for my job.
Yeah.
And we went out that week, and I was like, "Hey, I'm dead beat. I can't do it." And you know what? Inside though, I was like, "You know what? Just get up, be a man, and make her happy." And I was like, "All right, let's go do it." And then I felt bad because I fell asleep on the couch, and I was like, "I'm sorry. Like, I'm tired." Like, and I was just sitting there like feeling really bad because I was like, "I'm sorry. Should I not work this hard?" I don't know. I was like, I'm like, I'm making good money. I mean, we have enough. We always had like 500 to 600 bucks just for me alone for extra money. I was after like bills were paid, groceries, and this and that. And so I was just looking at them like, I've changed all this stuff. Everything's set to your needs and wants. And every time I try to do something, it's like, why? Why? And I'm like, what? What's going on? Like,
And what was the excuse?
I'm just, I'm just mean. That's the excuse. I'm mean. I
Really?
don't think about others.
I don't think so. But anyway, hours. That's going to come into play real soon again. Trust me on that. All right.
Yeah.
Now we have, when do you introduce your person that you're dating to friends, to family and friends?
Well, when I'm dating someone, they're gonna meet my friends. My friends are always over at my house, kind of. My real ones. They're
Mm-hmm.
always here. Like month to month or whatever.
Yeah.
Depends on the year, depends on the time. But family, um, I've really only ever introduced one person that I've dated to my family.
Really?
Only one. Yeah, only one. I've had them sleep over, all the other girls I've dated and stuff, and this and that, but I've never introduced them as my girlfriend. Not once.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my friend. This is my homegirl.
Yeah.
Only one though. I've ever introduced. Only one.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Here we
Jack,
go. So
indeed.
I have a rule. Some people are better off. I have a tendency not to have people meet my friends. Just because I don't want people around my. I don't want my friends to be subjected to. Subjected to it. Subjected to my family and their insanity. Because trust me on that when I say that to you. There's some insanity there.
Oh, you seen the party I just went to yesterday? Yeah.
And then we got the friends thing. Then we got how many friends are like, are cool or not. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. When it's time, it's time. You know when it's time. When it's not, you know when it's not. And that's pretty much what my whole thing is. Like, I just try not to push people with things.
Yeah, I don't like to push it either. Like, it's very rare for me. People are like, how you want to introduce me? I'm like, I don't think you just, I don't.
I'm not feeling it,
I
bro.
don't
Sorry.
know. Yeah, I'm not feeling like introducing you like, hey dad, what? This is my woman. Be like, oh really? Be like, he's like, I don't care. He's like, but how you doing? Like, he won't say that, but he'll just give me that look like, are you marrying this chick? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, why are you introducing her?
Well, like for instance, when you bring them to family gatherings and stuff like that. That's my whole thing. I
Oh,
told
I've
somebody
never
that.
done that. Nope, not once.
Yeah, I have a
Not
thing about. I have a thing about it. I want people to meet people, but then again, some people. See, I make mistakes. I do dumb stuff. So
Yeah, we all do.
I have to, especially with men. So I usually just don't.
Vice versa.
Just try
You
not
know
to
me,
meet them.
so.
Try not to get them to meet them. Like, okay, we're just not going to meet you. Just not going to meet my people, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too is my family. I don't know if you know this, but my family's got a big mouth and like to yap, 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 yap. When Trixie was a,
Yeah,
I'm all right.
same as mine. Same as mine. But I don't get, what's that one word? I don't get ashamed of it. I'm like, yeah, I was a young, crazy,
Oh no,
I
I'm
was a
not
young,
ashamed of
crazy
it.
boy.
I'm not ashamed of it. That's not ashamed of that at all. That's the easy part. But there's always a right time and a wrong time to introduce people to your family.
Oh, yeah, for
Always.
sure.
All right. Moving on. Next thing we're going to talk about is health.
Health is I think
All right,
health
so
hasn't really changed
no,
that
it
much.
hasn't. But you know what though? I have noticed two things. Okay. Like our generation, I came from the oh my god, AIDS is everywhere generation.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And now that there's been successful treatment and things going on, there's less of that people talking honestly and openly about their sexually transmitted diseases, things of that nature. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I have noticed that there's a lot of, for instance, this unprotected sex running around. Okay, I'll say it, call it like I see it, a lot of unprotected sex running around. And
Yeah,
there's
there's a ton of it.
there's no bueno on that. But at the same point in time, it's not my place to judge. So,
Yeah.
our generation
mine.
was all about protected sex, all about knowing your partner's sexual. We had that discussion early on, knowing that person's sexual history. Sexual history is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big part of
Totally. I agree.
compatibility.
Like, definitely nowadays, I'm just gonna say it. I've dated a couple girls who were in the business and stuff, and I'm like, hey, like, we need to talk if we're gonna further this. Like, you know what I mean about the business, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Leave that out of this.
Okay. And but yeah, and we need to talk. And some of them are like, oh, I don't have anything. I'm like, well, can I see? Like, I just want to see like a portfolio. I don't know.
No, actually, it's very common, especially for people that are my age, to actually do that, to actually exchange. This is this is my last STD test. I always ask people that. When's the last time you've been tested? There's nothing wrong with asking somebody that question. When's the last time you've ever been
Yeah,
tested?
because it's just a checkup.
Yeah, it's
Like you
like,
do every
you
single once in a
simple
while.
blood work once a year never hurts anybody. You never know. Strange things have
Yeah.
happened, okay? But yeah, I mean, and then, the sexual transmitted, then what do you do about people that have, like, okay, so I know that now there's a bigger openness and acceptance of people that have disabilities and things like that. What about someone who's chronically ill?
Chronically, I haven't heard that word in a while. Sorry.
Chronically ill meaning that someone that has, like, for instance, like I said, like I have spine disease. That's
Yeah.
technically chronic illness because it'll never go away.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
debilitating over time.
Yeah.
So, like someone that's always sick. Sick. There's something, like they have lupus or they have IBS, irritable bowel syndromes, Crohn's disease. They have skin, like they have psoriasis, like super advanced psoriasis. I mean, like things like that. I mean, that's not a big deal now because most of that stuff's all controlled by medicine. But back in my day,
Yeah.
we viewed that as
Back in the day, it was
it
not. Like,
was
if
viewed as
you got it.
you've got it viewed as weakness and sickness, and you don't want to be around that. Just like our genetic disposition in our heads was like, okay, if you're sick like that, we don't want to be with you. Nobody wants to be with you. And that's pretty messed up. That's a
I
really
do the
messed up
opposite.
thing.
I don't really view any of that. My main thing when dating someone is like, if I can have a conversation with you, be there emotionally and stuff, then I'll like you. I'll be thick and thin. I'll be there.
But that's the thing, though. It's like, and the mental illness, too, is another one of those things that come into the play, too. Back then, you didn't talk about it. Nowadays,
Yeah.
we can talk about
Not
it.
at
It's like,
all. Yeah, now it's like, hey, you can talk about it. Like how I said, I have ADHD, and people back then be like, what? Are you the? Like, oh no.
yeah, or like, being bipolar or schizophrenic or chronic or manic depressive, any of that stuff is, it is still kind of viewed nowadays as, what is it? As a kind of like a mark. But,
Yeah.
the conversation I had with somebody else is that, it's not such a bad thing. It really isn't. I'm just a little crazy. There's nothing wrong with that. And here we go. Now we go into this whole thing about abuse, because this is where we get into the whole meat and potatoes of things that I wanted to ask about. Because I mean, back then, whether it was verbal, sexual, or mental abuse from your significant other or boyfriend or somebody you were dating, you never talked about it.
Yeah.
Never talked about it. Now,
For me, from my own experience, I don't talk about any of that. I've just learned when I was growing up. It was like, hey, something's gonna kill you, and this and that. You're dealing with life problems. Keep it to yourself. I make people smile daily, but I die inside every day a little bit more. But I'm just like, I just keep it bottled up, and then I
that's
roll
not
about
healthy,
my day. But
bro.
a lot of it's not healthy. But I mean, for me, I don't want to make people sit there and feel bad about me or like simply, oh, we should care. And I'm like, nah, you don't have to. It's life. It happens. Some of us just are better at hiding it. But it's all right. But for abuse now, a woman that I've been with, uh,
Physical, mental, physical abuse is never
I really haven't
okay.
had any physical. No, yeah, I've never really had any physical abuse from a woman due to me. But I've had like verbal abuse from a lot of women I've been with.
That's still not okay.
I know it's not okay,
There's
but I
one
just deal
thing
with
when
it.
you're
I just
just
say
when you're
like I'm
kind of like
leaving.
poking jabs at somebody and you're just kind of like it's kind of like what's the word at one point they're just messing with them. But it's a whole
Yeah,
nother ball of
but when you
wax when you're
hurt
actually
them,
physically laying hands on an individual and belittling them at the same point in time. There's issues there. You know,
yeah, there's
there's some,
totally.
some really big issues there lying, and that's not your problem. It's somebody else's underlying problem. If you care
Yeah,
about, and the sad thing is, if you really care about someone, you want them to get help, but at the same point in time, you're powerless to do so. Think about that.
yeah, I understand that.
So
No, I feel bad when I date certain women and I actually like I'll be with them for like half a year and then a year and I'll talk to them and be like, hey, I have that pain that I'll talk to them like rarely about. And I'll be like, hey, sometimes like I wanna bite a bullet, but I won't. But I'm just like, I have these moments where I just sit there and I'm like full on. Like you look at my eyes and you just see pain. I'm just like, play a certain movie, say a certain word, song, and it's just pain, like pure pain. You know, but I look at them and be like, it's all right, it's okay, it's life. I mean, that's how I view it. That's how I go about stuff.
About abuse.
Yeah, I mean, I just deal with it until I can leave, and I'm like, all right, I'm out. Like,
Yeah, but you know, it's one of those things for me where it's like, I guess if I put it to this way, somebody, I said, I hope if a man really wants to lay hands on me, he lays hands on me. I really hope he's ready to get his ass whooped. I'm gonna beat the tar out of him.
yeah, I've said the same. I mean, it's a podcast. It's about my. I remember I've told you, I never like to hurt anyone because I know I can hurt people, and I'm decent at what I do, and I felt bad because one time I remember my sister was picking on me, and she's like she's maybe 100, 120, 5'4", I think. You got like I was 5'10" at the time, 5'10", 230, sitting there lifting crazy amounts of weights and stuff. And I just picked her up with one hand and choked her, made her turn purple, and I was like, you don't talk to me like that. And I felt bad because I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I just lost it. And she was like, I could tell your eyes were just, whew. And I'm like, what were you doing to me? She was like, I was pissing you off. But she was like, I was playing around at first and I was being mean. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. That's why I won't, I mainly drink alone. Or I'll have margaritas mainly with people. But I'm like, I won't. That's why I tell people, like, don't play with me. We can joke around, but don't like push it and push it and push it and push it.
Yeah, I guess that's one of those
I'm,
things. I guess that, you know, I don't. Here's the thing, and this is gonna sound funny. In my opinion about everything, when it comes down to it, anger is a very big wasted emotion. It does nothing. It does no good
yeah,
for anybody. Period. Getting
it doesn't,
angry
yeah.
doesn't solve anything. So.
Yeah, I just don't like it when people make, cause I'm a very hard guy to make mad. I mean, if you're sitting there like poking at me, it takes me like 2 hours if you're really agonizing me, and then I turn around, I'm like, all right, let's do something. And then the people are usually like, no, how about no? I'm like, no, we're gonna do it now. Let's go. And that's how I am though. After like, but it takes me a long time to get very angry. It does. It takes me a long time.
So tell me a question. Here's a question for you. Long-term plans with somebody that you're dating. How long does it take you to decide whether or not you're going to be with this person for a long term, or whether or not it's just going to be a kind of a fling, a one-shot wonder, or just a few dates and just have a good time?
Well, I think for me it depends. Like, am I seeing this person one day a week?
Well, remember something. This is generational, so you have to think. You're speaking on perhaps most of your generation. So that's the question I'm raising to about your generation.
Well, from my experience with this, I remember I was dating someone. I dated them for basically 4 years, and we would talk every single day, nonstop. And I remember it took me a year, and I was like, I want to marry you. And the girl was like, really? I'm like, we talk every day, non-stop. Doesn't matter what mood we're in. We always talk. I'm mad, you text me, you fix it. You're mad, I text you, I fix it. I'm like, I want to marry you. But it usually takes me about a year. I've only had like a handful of people I've dated for a year. But it usually takes me about a year where I'm like, I want to marry this person. I can be with this person for the rest of my life.
You know what? Again, I just do this whole thing where I am just don't worry about it. Let things come as they may. You know, things like that. For instance,
yeah.
And if you're watching this, Armagast, love you, buddy. Miss you. I wish we were still friends. Just saying. Anyway, you're with somebody, long term. I mean, we're together almost 10 years. I mean, that kind of good stuff. I mean, we had a great time. It was just that, you know, kids were going to be an issue. I wanted kids and I was getting older. It was never going to happen. And I know it's never going to happen. So, I mean, it's a double whammy. And then we've got,
Yeah.
I never got married. And I feel kind of crappy about that I never married anybody. But at the same point in time, too, it's life, you know.
I got you, bro. I'll propose to you with a ring pop for $45.
What do I need a ring pop for, man?
Divorce you the next day. Cause they're the best. You could break them and say, he never gave me a ring. I know what he's talking about.
Whatever. So yeah, that was my idea. Now, your generation, you guys are waiting longer to have kids, if I'm not mistaken. Waiting longer, and you guys are, not really necessarily getting married anytime quicker either.
No, yeah, it depends. For my preference, any girl that I'm with for more than 2 months, I tell them, like, hey, I want to have kids, and I want to have them. I want to have kids before I'm 27. And people are like, why do you want to have kids so young? I'm like, well, here's the thing. They're like, don't you know you're going to be unstable, income, this and that? I'm like, no matter when you have a child, you're gonna have problems with money. You're gonna have problems with health, anything. But I would rather be young and have kids so I can go take them on lots of adventures, musical parks, festivals, all that. Instead of being like, when I'm older, my back hurts, my knees ain't what they used to be. Like any of that, so you can go and do stuff. You can go and enjoy it. You don't have to sit there and complain and be like, oh, I can't do stuff because I'm too old now. I'm like, no. I'd rather be young and have kids. That's just me. And a lot of girls run away after that. They're like, I don't want kids. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah, well, that's their loss. Shame on them.
It is what it is. But that's why I would rather have kids very young. That's why, though. Because when you're older, it's way harder to do things with kids when you're way older. It is.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, like I tell people all the time, I mean, people are, my generation's in much better health than they are. Probably better health than you guys are. Because you guys are microwave bandits. You guys, that's how you guys cook all your food, is through the microwave.
Not me, you know me. Barbecue, bake, stove.
Yes,
all that.
I'm not scared to, I know how to use a stove. Yeah, that's the funny thing. I tell people, I know how to use a stove. Some people laugh.
Yeah,
at
no,
that.
it's weird. If you talk about microwave, I didn't know. So I've been with a lot of girls, and after a while I call them, they're like, I'm a microwave master. I'm like, what is a microwave master? I'm like, oh, you don't know how to cook, huh? They're like, nope. I'm like, so you can make me chicken nuggets though, right? It's always the thing. I'm like, you can make me chicken nuggets though, right?
Where's my nuggets at, bro?
Where my nuggets at?
All right, so.
Where's my dinosaur nuggets?
All right, so when you have realized that the relationship is not beneficial for both of you, how does your generation break up with another person?
Usually, like my preference, I like to do things in person. I'm like, hey, we had a good thing going, but I just don't see it furthering out. You're not like me. Like you don't have to be like me, but like we just don't have the same goals. We don't see things eye to eye a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like like you see, like sometimes it's like, oh, you don't see eye to eye, but like when it's like majorly you don't see things eye to eye, it's like, all right, well, I guess we're just not meant to be. But I've been dumped a lot by girls on the cell phone, texting. Or I remember one time this girl dumped me, right? And I didn't know she dumped me. So I walk up, I'm like, oh, hey, babe. She was like, did you not understand by me not texting you, I dumped you? I'm like, what? I can't read minds? Like,
Wow.
yeah. But I mean, that's the new way of dumping, though. That's how you do it.
The vehicle.
But I like going person to person. I'm like, hey, I enjoyed what you gave me. I'll always have these memories. They're always gonna be here. But we're just not a couple.
It's just not gonna
I
work.
just can't. Yeah, it's just not gonna work.
It's just not gonna work out.
It's not me, it's you.
And then, yeah, okay, but yeah, all right.
Nah, I don't say that. It's just mean. I usually just say like,
You know,
it's
it's
not gonna
it's
work
kind of a
out.
messed up thing of how that stuff works, though. I mean, because you know, I usually try to have the conversation and be like, okay, I don't want you to think that it's anything bad. It's just that I don't think that we're doing stuff. I said, take some time apart. Let's see how it works. It's gonna suck, but at the same point in time too, we should try and try and do that. Try and do things differently. See things separately, and
Yeah.
that usually isn't a good thing. But
Yeah, I suck at those. I remember the same girl, 11 months. She's like, I want to be friends, and I'm like, I don't think I can do that. I can't do that. Because it was a certain person. I was like, I can't do that with you. She's like, why? I'm like, I just can't. Because I don't know, like with that person I was up at the time, we connected. Like we were tight. We were like M&Ms.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just can't do it. Because I would look at her and I'd just be like, and I would tell her, that's my wife right there. That's my wife. And now I'm like, that is not my wife. That is not my wife.
Have at ya. Your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so breakups. Do you find that you can be friends with your exes?
I do have a decent amount. I mean, I stopped counting in the hundreds. And I have a decent amount of exes that I'm still friends with, but I cannot be, like the type of exes where they're like, hey, I still want to fool around. I'm like, I can't be friends with that.
Well,
Cause I'm
for
like,
obviously,
cause then I get
for obviously
emotionally
intents and
attached.
purposes, for what it is that, you know, you can't be friends. You shouldn't be friends like that, or friends with benefits, or however
Yeah,
they want to paint it right now. I mean, that's not
yeah,
how it works. I mean, when it's done, it's done. That's the rule. My
yeah.
rule
Like
of everything.
I feel like my rule is like once you've actually like dated, and it's emotional, and they're like, hey, we can still do stuff. I'm like, no, cause then I'm gonna get more emotional. I'll be like, come back to me, come on. And they're
Yeah,
like, no,
well,
I just want you for this, and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't.
yeah. See, here's the thing about it. If it's done and they only want you for one thing and one thing only, that makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, like I remember one time some girl, she was like, hey, I want you for this, and I'm like, I can't do that. She's like, why? I'm like, because I'm gonna look at you, and I'm gonna be happy for that moment, and then when you leave, I'm gonna be depressed for like a couple weeks until you come back again for it. And I just won't put myself through that. I'm like, I won't do it.
Yeah, I get you on that. That's not the way it works. I mean, I always try to remain friends with people. I do, but it never happens.
I do it depends on the person or who it was with. Cause certain emotional bonds when I date someone, I'm like, I just don't want to see you ever again. They're like, why? I'm like, cause you bring happiness when I see you, but then you also bring depression. I don't wanna, I don't wanna know you.
Oh, the joy and the pain.
Yeah,
Oh, the trials and tribulations with love and trying to find somebody to have a decent relationship with another individual.
yeah.
it's a rough time for
It's a
everybody.
rough game.
You can't do anything about it because it's the game we have to play.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's a game we have to play as in we play with people's emotions as it is. It's like
It's a trial and error basis.
yeah, well, it is, but it's also like a battlefield too. I mean, how many wounds, as a there you go. Video
I
game
got hundreds of
analogy
wounds
here.
on me.
Video game analogy coming
Yeah.
up. How many times do I have to
Uh,
respawn? How many times do I have to respawn?
oh
That's
man.
good. How many times do I have to respond? If dating is like a battlefield and everything else like that, like we're discussing, how many times do we have to respawn?
I don't know. It's up to the person, honestly.
Well, I mean, there are people that after like the fifth or sixth time they get tired of it and they just want to, and they just want to They just want to let it, become hermits, and I don't want to date again, and I don't care.
Oh yeah,
Celibacy and just leave me
I know those type
alone.
of people. Yeah.
Bitter. I refuse to be bitter. I told somebody, I said, I retain the fact that there is hope and that love is a possibility for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
The unfortunate situation is that it's not necessarily the one that will always last. Well, I think I've had enough. I don't know if you have. Thanks for all who was listening. We most appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for this podcast.
Like and
If you guys
love.
like it, like and subscribe. And I'm sorry for the one bad word.
We
I
trying
did. I said
hard.
one
We
bad word.
trying real
I was trying
hard.
hard, man. And we were doing so good. I was like, I said, I'm so sorry.
Anyway, y'all have a good evening. I'm gonna go make some sketty.
Yep, I'm gonna go text this girl. You guys have a good day, and always remember to like and subscribe and follow us on Twitch and YouTube.
Yes, please.